Good evening to everyone. I say in all humility that you should know that when I was first asked to be one of the people recognized here tonight, that I declined the gracious invitation. And I did so because, in truth, I didn't really do anything that is worthy of your recognition. I didn't do anything that all of you couldn't do yourselves. Certainly not when it comes to Soroka Hospital. But about a year ago, during Operation Protective Edge, I was taken to the Gaza border, where I met young, courageous soldiers whose lives were at risk. I then visited a kibbutz where young children had spent so much time in bomb shelters. And I witnessed some of the damage done by those rockets to the buildings where those young children spent their days. And I wondered, how could it be that in a supposedly civilized world, that they would be the targets of enemy attacks? I thought they could be my own children or my grandchildren. And I questioned, how would Mason, my grandson, who's 4 years old, react to the recurrent sirens and hours spent in bomb shelters? How could 3 and 4 year olds endure the fear that had been aroused by a vicious enemy that knew nothing of fighting a fair fight? But in truth, the highlight of my trip, I can call it that, was my visit to Soroka Hospital, where I met with Aggie, the director of the neonatal unit, and spent a good amount of time with her and the vulnerable little infants entrusted to her care. I saw tiny, fragile babies weighing 1.5 pounds or a bit more, and all of them with their lives in the balance. And I learned of the heroic measures taken by the hospital staff to guard those babies as rockets were being fired, even at the hospital. Yes, because of extensive medical equipment involved in keeping each baby alive and breathing, Aggie explained to me that it took 7 people to carefully move each baby out of harm's way to the basement of the hospital. It was humbling and it was pathetic, but oh so inspiring to see the love and the care that went into guarding these little babies. And then I was taken to meet some of the soldiers who had been wounded in Gaza. And there is one young man especially who touched my heart. His picture is in the program booklet. And his mother, having learned that I was a rabbi, asked if I would say a prayer for her son. She didn't care about Orthodox or conservative or Reform. She cared about her son's living and surviving his ordeal. And as I looked at his crushed-in head, it was hard not to weep for what this beautiful boy had endured. And I couldn't help but question whether he could survive that horrible injury, and with what quality of life. But a few weeks later, I learned that after delicate surgeries, some of which might very well have been performed by Dr. Frankel, that after 2 weeks, he was now speaking, and he was conscious, and he had the possibility of living a fulfilling life. Yes, it is because of the dedicated and brilliant Israeli neurologists and surgeons and all of the other doctors and nurses that we can say of Soroka that it lives the rabbinic ideal that to save but one life is to save an entire world. Such was the spirit and the intent of everything that I witnessed at Soroka. It was a place of life and hope and near miraculous achievements that left me with a sense of awe. I know that tonight is not about politics, but I have to take a few seconds to make a statement. A statement to those many Arab mothers who I saw at Soroka and whose children were receiving and are receiving life-saving medical care. And what I have you to say to those who advocate boycotting Israeli intelligence and ingenuity: go home to your husbands and tell them the goodwill that you're experiencing at Soroka. To those mothers who I met, go to your husbands and your sons and tell them of the goodness that you're experiencing at the hands and hearts of Israeli doctors and nurses, and tell them enough of hatred and war. To those mothers, amidst your tearful prayers, go home with your now healthy children and shout enough of casting stones at those who offer you so much in terms of a future of life and health and hope. To the Arab men and women whom I saw throughout Soroka Hospital, go and tell the ignorant world what you've experienced at Soroka and at the other hospitals throughout Israel, and how grateful you are that there is an Israel that can and will save the lives of your children, and at the same time treat you with honor and dignity. Let me say that it is a source of great personal satisfaction and personal challenge to be in the company of people who are committed to so worthy a cause as Soroka Hospital. I'm honored to be recognized in the company of Dr. Frankel, Dr. Davidson, with whom I rode on the elevator before without knowing it. I'm sorry that Brigadier General Dr. Daniel Gold is not with us, but you all play such heroic roles in the life of Israel. While much of the world fails to understand the realities of Israel, its virtues, its aspirations, and its value system, we are the ones who do understand that the idea of tikkun olam, bringing healing to our world, remains such an integral aspect of the ideals and values that define that tiny but oh so worthy country, and most certainly the hospital known as Soroka. I thank you all for including me in your celebration here tonight, and for all of our efforts to cause the hopes and dreams that are Israel to be sustained and realized.